That's gonna really dig into my amount of people that are gonna watch this. No, I'm only joking. Anyways, tonight's guest is gonna be the absolute super mega star, my good friend Ian Fraser, founder of TXG, Tour Experience Golf. Here he is right now, and I cannot wait to have him join because this is going to be an amazing experience. We got so many cool things to go through, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so we'll see if we can get him over here. Video. And if you have any questions, don't forget to hit the question mark down at the bottom of your page and type it in. There he is, my man.
How are you, amigo?
I am fantastic. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Doing good.
I decided to put on the good old, round first game of the playoffs shirt for you, Mr. Raptors fan.
I know, my adopted North American sport, hasn't it?
Exactly. And I can't wait to get into your other favorite sport today. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
That's
probably
fun.
the one thing that most people have no idea about with
Right.
me that's really my deal.
Oh, trust me. I feel so very privileged that I kind of know that little secret. So, I mean, buddy, listen, I can't thank you enough coming on. Listen, in honor of who you are and where you're from, the single malt.
Attaboy.
Hey, a little bit for you.
Love
So
it.
one of the things I just, when I was thinking about everybody I wanted to have on, and I mean, you know what? It's so funny because you're typically on the other end of this, right? You're the one asking all the questions. You're
Yeah.
doing podcasts. And you know what? You are, built yourself into such a wonderful icon. I mean, so everybody, if you don't know who this guy is, I'm just going to let it go right now. Okay. This is my very good friend, Ian Fraser. Ian is a wee lad from Scotland and has been in Canada for 10 years. And him and his wonderful wife, Tracy, they have a brand new baby boy, Noah. He's a joy. Your wife sent me an unbelievable video of him just blurting away before bath time,
Yeah.
right? So anyways, you started at Modern Golf, managing partner there. You wasn't going in the direction that you wanted, so you decided to go on your own way. And I felt so very honored to be around when that all started, and to help you kind of get that little foot in the door with Gil and Jasmina at Faraway Greens, and
Yeah.
really start the juggernaut, which is now TXG and TXG YouTube channel, which is 70,000 subscribers. Just amazing stuff, content up just the absolute phenomenal content, bro.
Thanks,
And
pal.
it's really awesome to watch because you know what, I'm like, at times I kind of go, I know that guy.
Well, you know what? You told us a part of the story there that people just don't know, which is I wouldn't call it limbo because I kind of knew where I was going, but there was a period between knowing that modern wasn't it for me, and I was proud of it, and it was great and learned so much, but I just knew that wasn't it. But it's not like I had it all figured out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was at the time when, I was driving out to Burlington, teaching a couple of lessons. You were kind to go, listen, use it when you need it. Um, and really, not to be soppy, but needed a friend, needed kind of someone to look out for us and that sort of thing. And while we figured it all out, because we truly never had it figured out. I mean, it's something that people don't know. It wasn't like TXG was always the blueprint and the plan. It evolved that way, but it certainly was not always the case.
Well, it's really funny because I remember, like, you and I were talking about it, right? And you were like,
Yeah,
what, space and all that stuff, and I was like, wow, I think I have somebody who was literally what, 3 blocks down the road
yeah,
where my indoor was, and Gil and Jasmina Garbus, fantastic people,
the best.
greens. They had that thousand square feet in the back, right? And
Hmm.
I still remember being there when you guys took the tour for the first time,
Yeah,
and I could kind of see the wheels going, and you figured out it would work. And I mean, the really great part about this whole thing, you're great people. Gil and Jasmina, equally amazing people, right?
amazing.
And putting good people together, it typically works, and it did.
Mm.
And this is the really cool part because you watch it grow and grow, and now it's just a runaway freight train, brother. And I mean, you should really be very proud of where it's going. And I know there's lots more to go, lots more to
Yeah.
do, right? And I mean, this crazy time. How are the boys holding up with this craziness and everything that's going on?
They're really good. I had them all on for about an hour and a half today on a Zoom call, and we were just, yeah, it was just like these things which are just turn out, it's just touch and base, everyone good. Is there anything we can do? Turn into, well, what about this idea? And what about that idea? And how about we try this? And we start debating all the different ways we can build a better matrix, or maybe we're lacking a little bit of something here. So I love the team we have because they're relentless, as I'm relentless in trying to be better. And it really works well. They've all got such good energy for what they do, and they're a really great team.
You know what? That team of yours is kind of like an example of how you have really taken your time to get the right team.
Mm-hmm.
And by I mean, you and I have talked about, we've had people come in and out and stuff. I say, oh, where they are, oh, it didn't work out, this and that. Here's the really cool part, that one of the things that I always loved about what you do is when somebody had to, before you turn them loose on somebody, they had to shadow you for a month.
A month, yeah.
Something like that, right?
The minimum, it's a minimum month on my shoulder, and then we sort of turn them over and they get the bay, but they give a month's worth of free fits. So it gives them the ability to then not kind of, make mistakes or whatever, but, they don't always have, it just means that they can turn the left or turn right and go, what does this mean? Or what does that mean? And it takes the pressure off them a little bit. And then, if they need further training, they'll be good. And if not, then they're on their way.
Well, you know what? It's a really interesting point, because it's kind of like being a coach.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get better as a coach if you're just standing around not coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get in, you have to get there, you have to make mistakes, you have to be able to
100%.
go back to the people that have helped you and say, hey, listen, I was looking at this, and I have chats with people all the time. One of the young men that you've been chatting with for the last little bit, Chris Dickinson, I mean, he'll come to me and he'll ask me things, and I'll be like, okay, well, let's take a look at this. And the really cool part is, this is what your guys do. And I mean, you've got one of the youngest, brightest guys on the planet, one of my fave guys, Mikey. Absolutely amazing young man to watch his rise. And what's really cool is he's gone from consulting with you about decisions to making decisions. And that shows growth and amazing reliability, and also the trust that you have been able to instill in him with this business.
Yeah, definitely. That relationship is something I'm really proud of. And, he's truly, it's a brother, relationship. And, we drive each other nuts half the time, but he was my best man at my wedding last year. And, he's someone who means a lot.
Don't freeze on me now.
Through a lot together in the last few years. No, we're good. We're good.
Absolutely.
So, it's cool to see.
All right. So here, Pete Blazovic, Mikey's the GOAT. There you go.
Yes.
The GOAT of fitting. Nice, Pete. So give everybody a little insight. How did a wee golfer who dabbled in the sweet science of boxing manage to stay out of trouble and now be considered one of the very best club fitters in the world?
I don't know. It's funny. I was
really?
The way the whole thing's panned out. I was talking to my brother today, and we have a kind of like, we have a typical brother relationship. I'm the youngest, and he's a bit older, and competitive as hell. And we were talking about stuff earlier on, and he was he jumps in the YouTube stuff. He's a complete non-golfer, hates golf, can't stand it, hates it. Like if we talk golf, he'll leave the room. If my dad's a golfer, and if we talk golf, he is gone from the room. He's like, I just don't want to hear any of this. This is boring. Right. And but it's funny. I was talking to him back home today, and he's like, he's like, how are things going with the YouTube channel? So yeah, they're going good. And he's like, well, by the comments, they're going really good. And I'm like, what do you mean by the comments? He's like, I dive in and read the comments and stuff like that, and which was an eye opener for me. I didn't think he would be anywhere near those. And so I mean, we grew up as footballers back home. That was what I was kind of always wanted to be, and I was playing at a really good level. I was a little goalkeeper back home, not for any other reason than I was the runt of the litter of a big group of boys growing up. So the little dude gets chucked in goals. That's the way it goes, and everyone just kicks balls at the little guy. So, which is also why the boxing came about. Same story. So I was going to be a footballer, I thought. I was actually a badminton player as well, believe it or not.
Multi-sport athlete. Look
Yeah.
at you go.
Yeah, I think my best was I was ranked maybe 4 or 5 in Scotland was the best I'd ever got to.
How old were you?
So I was doing that when I was probably from 10 till probably 18 or 19. Yeah, it was good. Won 20 over 20 district titles, and was just badminton was something I loved. And I was a really chubby kid growing up.
Ah, no way.
I was chubby as could be,
Really?
overweight and all that sort of stuff. And badminton was really what got me fit. A lot of court time and all that sort of stuff. So that's what kind of got me into fitness and that sort of thing. So golf for me didn't come till I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started playing golf when I was 16, and you talk about how did the kind of path to golf away from like boxing, and I wouldn't call it a rough upbringing, but it was, you had to kind of handle yourself growing up where we grew up, and
I've got a question about that
yeah,
later, but yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more because
yeah.
yes, you had to handle yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you and I have had some awesome chats about the sweet science.
Yeah.
And I've got I got some more questions on that because it really is an unbelievable sport. And most people don't realize how much you know about the sport and how much it enthralls you and just really takes up a lot of your brain space. But listen, it's been 10 years since you got here from Scotland.
Yeah.
All right. And you and Tracy had literally in the last 10 years lived a lifetime of experiences. You really have. And, but what was the defining moment you think it was that got you where you are today and still going? What do you think it was?
Oh, a defining moment. You know what? Honestly, I spent time club fitting, and I always thought that everyone else knew what I knew. And if the more time I spent with other people, it would kind of seem to me like they would go, "Oh, I didn't know that," and I'd be like, "How did you not know that? Everyone knows that if they're a club fitter." And then I'd spend more time with other fitters. It kind of this kept happening, and I kind of got to the point where I realised not everyone knows this stuff. And it is, and some of the knowledge and that sort of stuff is unique. Having a TrackMan in 2006 was unique. Doing the things, traveling and doing demo days, we used to call it, being in the trenches, was unique. And working with tour players when, yesterday you're working with absolute beginner, and then the next day you're working with Stephen Gallagher, European Tour winner, and on the range the next day. So it kind of came to me at Modern Golf when I spent time with the other guys, and I came in as the 5th man. So the team at Modern Golf was assembled, and then they needed one more person to like bolster the fitting and building team. I was actually hired as a club builder, and they needed one more person. And I'm thinking like, I've got to step up my game. I'm going in amongst this team, and they're really, these people must be really smart. And not that they weren't, but they would always look to me for the information. And it flipped my mindset that I wasn't as much, looking to them as much as they were looking to me. And then people I was exposed to, smart people. I spent a lot of time with Andrew Rice, spent a lot of time with instructors down south, and I learned more from instructors like yourself than I ever did from any club fitters. So I guess at that point, my self-belief and what I knew was kind of given a boost.
It's really an interesting point that you're saying this, because like, honestly and truly, to think that you ever questioned that you didn't know enough about club fitting is mind-blowing to me. I mean, you are the reason why, if anybody asks me about club fitting, I say, listen, I'm going to send you to a place that will tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah.
I don't even I can tell them very little bit, right? But why do if I've got the experts at the tip of my fingers, right? I don't need to try and fumble around. Yeah. So, I mean, to hear that you actually had that is humbling. At the same time, it's mind-blowing, because it's like, I've always thought, man, you're like all knowing, and you're always knowing, and you always want to get better. And this is the really cool thing. You're not stagnant. And I love to hear that you guys want, hey, do we change the matrix a bit and all that stuff? Because it's always like kind of my hashtag that I always say, right? Better never stops.
100%.
Right? So, all right. little bit of a touchy subject here, but
Yep.
I would love a little bit of an insight because I really think people need to understand just how awesome you and that rock star wife of yours is.
Yep.
Love your wife beyond means. She is just an amazing woman. And I mean, you guys have been together for a long time, and you only got married 2 years
Last
ago.
June. Just last June. June 15th last year. Yeah.
That's right. So, on December 23rd, you and Tracy welcomed your beautiful baby boy, Noah, into your world. It's nothing short of a miracle for you guys to welcome in. And I've got to hold him, which is the best thing ever. You guys have had an incredible journey because it wasn't always rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had an unfortunate thing happen with your first child. And, you guys could have turtled. You guys could have really just pulled everything in and not kept going and just kind of just moved away but you didn't. You started a YouTube channel. You did different things, and you still went through with your wedding. It's a testament to your relationship with your wife, which can you just shed a little bit of light on that for us?
Yeah, I mean, it has been the craziest 2 years imaginable. When you think the business is important and you think all these things are important, and the reality is, none of it's really that important. When things are happening in life, and stuff happened, like what happened with Rue, and just stuff that will just change you forever, and your whole perspective on life is completely rocked. And Noah is just, I mean, I just think there's something in that. Just the loss we had and the gift we got were both so massive that it just has shaped, Tracy and I and our relationship, and then who we meet, how much we mean to each other. And it just truly, it shows us that there's nothing that we can't do together. There's literally nothing. We've had the highest high, we've had the lowest low, and we've had everything in between. And like, you're right, I mean, we've been together. This is our 19th year together. We've been together since we were kids. So it's just the best.
Well, you know what, buddy? I am so thankful for the joy you have and the journeys you've had.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that with us, because like I said, it would have been so easy to not continue and to guys grow, because it's and grow and enjoy this absolute miracle that is your. So I mean,
thanks, bud.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Not so.
I really do appreciate it. All right, so you have been fitting my competitive juniors for the better part of 10 years. Okay, and one of the best parts about TXG, and this is really interesting, I don't know if most people realize this, okay? They hear custom fitting, even to this day. And the reputation of TXG, sticker shock, all this stuff. Hey, you know what? There's a reason why you guys are the best, right? But, the interesting part here is that you guys are so amazing with families and juniors, because you get them in, you fit them, and you say, here's what it is. But this is one of the best parts about it. And this is, I think, what sets TXG apart. You say, hey, this is what we can do for you. If you want to take this and go try and find something else that's comparable, go right ahead.
Yeah.
We want you to be happy. But if we can help you, we'd love to help you.
Yeah.
That is like crazy unheard of, dude. You guys, like, it's so amazing. Is that something you realized as the owner and as this was going, that this had to be kind of like one of the mantras of TXG?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think always giving value to people is ultimately where the integrity of the company lies, and that value lies in so many different ways. And it might be an OEM fitting. Someone might walk in the door and go, Ian, I've got $500 to spend. I need new clubs. I'm not hitting these ones well. What do we do? We're going to figure out how to do that for them. It doesn't have to be, well, you need to go somewhere else because we don't sell clubs that are $500. I would never do that to someone.
Right.
I will find them a way to get them. And it might be, we're going to get you into Haywood irons, and we're going to start with 6 to wedge. And then next year, we're going to add a 5 iron. And we're going to do whatever they need to be, and come and get them customized and adjusted for free for the rest of the time you have them. And it's whatever is value to them is good with us.
Well, you know what? Here's two parts of that. One, had Lindsay Knowlton on last week. She works, she does some coaching on Monday nights out of TXG. And one of the really cool parts is she is so happy to be able to bring the women that when they need clubs, you guys will build them a set that just is perfect for them. It could be, 7-iron, 9-iron, so a wedge, a couple of woods, but they build them for them because those are the clubs they're going to use the most. The second one is I go in last year, you're fitting Alexa Loulette. We go through her whole U.S. kids bag and you go, you know what, Lex? I really think you just need to drop the 5-iron, keep the set, stay in this. And you know what? We'll move you up into bigger clubs when it comes time to it. Well, here's the really cool part. That recommendation, that kid goes out and wins the Golf Ontario Bantam U15 at the age of 12 last year because of that recommendation, and she was allowed to swing those that much faster. It's amazing the trickle-down effect that it has when you have amazing customer service, but the wherewithal to say to a parent, you don't need those clubs. That takes a lot of balls, dude.
Yeah, and it can also be at times that sometimes the shoe can be on the other foot where you have to make a tough decision to go, listen, they need new clubs.
Right.
They need new clubs. They are significantly being hindered by these short, small grips, too light. They're manipulating the weight of the club. They're throwing it. They need to be able to feel the club in order to generate the club head speed and the motion that they need to create. And we're as comfortable given both recommendations, whether it's to stay where you are, minor changes, or it's a full set of rackets.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna inject a little bit of humor into this part. This is my favorite part of the interviews. It's my fast five.
Geez.
You don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
All right. You don't know what's coming. There's a real. I try to get as creative as possible, so I consult with certain people to get a little bit of some interviews. But this one I know about you, and this is like something that people really I don't know if they realize. Okay, dude, you have a serious issue with Walt Disney World, and people don't realize how obsessive you are about this. Like, if you get a chance to get on a plane to Orlando, you're there tomorrow and you're in the Magic Kingdom. However, that's okay. We still love you. What is your favorite ride and the must ride every time you go to Disney?
Flight of Passage, Animal Kingdom.
Really?
No, not even close.
Wow.
Not even close. I've been in the Animal Kingdom before 6 a.m. queuing to get on that ride on multiple occasions.
Really? Wow. That's fantastic. Oh,
he is.
Are we getting to see the boy?
He's just been out the bath.
Yes, there he is. Everybody, this is Noah Fraser.
This is baby Noah.
Hi, Noah.
And hi.
You've so big since I got to hold you.
Daddy's getting made fun of for Disney.
Amazing. Tracy, thanks so much for coming in. Good to see you. Oh, everybody, there's a treat. Oh, my gosh. Breaking up my whole Insta. Awesome, man. That's great. Good to see you. Now, somebody just said you actually like the Hulk ride at Universal?
Yeah, love it. Yeah. Universal. Yeah, that's the best at Universal, the Hulk. But
okay, I do like that one. I actually like the one where you go straight up, the rock and roll. I like that one because it was kind of fun, but the Hulk is actually better.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Scotty McLeod said, "Geez, Noah's almost taller than you already."
He almost is.
Exactly, eh? Crazy.
I know where he gets the chubby cheeks from, anyway.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, all right. So that's awesome. That's really cool. My favorite ride at Disney is Test Track at Epcot. That's just an awesome ride. You get to design your own car.
Well, just wait until it's the whole place is going to get its full facelift for next year. Tron, all the new rides. It's going to be unreal. Tron. Oh, yeah, Tron? They're building Tron at Magic Kingdom. So over by Space Mountain, they're building a new one.
Amazing. All right. Who's your hero?
Tiger.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why?
Why
is Tiger Woods your hero?
97, I wasn't playing golf at the time, really. Saw him win at the Masters the way he did. We in the UK we watched the Masters on BBC, and we would get to see the back nine, and that was all we ever got to see until Sunday. And just watching someone do it that differently was just like, this is insane. And then from there on in, everything had to be Tiger Woods, from the clothes to the hat to the shoes and all that sort of stuff.
You had the red shirt and black pants?
All the time, nonstop.
Love it.
Nonstop.
That's great. You know, one of the amazing things about that victory in '97 was how he went back and watched all the videos from all the rounds and studied every green.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's really nice. It's a really interesting point. Justin Blazer just got on, asked me if I asked anything about junior golf clubs. I'm going to get into that. I do have a question about it, Jay. We talked about why it's important, about how to recommend parents stay in either clubs or they need new clubs. So that was about the only junior stuff. We've got lots more to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still on my fast five here.
Sorry.
So,
slowed you down with Noah.
That's okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being like the very best, what grade would you give your life right now?
It's a 10 for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Action, thriller, adventure, horror, love story, sport comedy, or drama. What is the genre to describe Ian Fraser's life movie?
Holy moly.
So action, adventure, action, thriller, adventure, horror, love story, sport comedy, or drama?
Action thriller.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You got that rail of bullets across your chest, you got I love it. Sounds fantastic.
And sometimes you got to take a few bullets as well along the way.
Sometimes you have to, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right. Augusta National called you. Actually, they sent you an email.
Mm-hmm.
They said, hey, Ian, we only do this, but you know what? You fit one of our members, and they loved it so much. They said they want to bring you down and play. Who's in that foursome with you?
My dad.
Yep.
Mike.
Yep.
And my best buddy, Joe.
Awesome. That'd be great. So really interesting, funny story about that is my buddy, and you've met John Godwin from US Kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 1984, John is working in Jackson's Hole, Wyoming, and he's teaching, and he's
phenomenal
basically
facility.
Oh yeah. So he's working, and he has this retired hedge fund guy from Wall Street who he has to give a lesson and play 18 holes with every day. So they're playing one day, and he says to him, hey, would you like to play Augusta National? John looks and goes, yeah. Or it's 92. It was 92. And he goes, yeah, of course. He goes, but you need to be a member. You need to know a member to play it. And the guy looks at him and goes, well, I know a member. And John looks at him and says, who? He goes, me. He goes, bullshit. He got John looking at him saying that, bullshit. And the guy laughs. He goes, no, actually, I'm a member. So the next week he sends him an email, and he brings him over to Augusta. For 10 days, John gets to live at the Butler cabin.
What?
And take all this guy's clients out on the 9-hole par 3 course in 18 holes.
Wild.
How about that? Imagine having a story like that. So
the Holy Trinity is Pine Valley, Cypress, and Augusta. So
that's a holy grail, dude.
Yeah, I've had the Pine Valley invite. And nice. That one can be revisited. Well, actually, we were supposed to go. This is how amazing Tracy is at customer service. We got the Pine Valley invite because of how well she treated a customer. Nothing to do with me.
Of course. Right?
So nothing to do with me, and I didn't do a fit for someone. They loved their clubs. This guy, Doug Bindford, I don't forget his name, he was so impressed with how Tracy treated him and kept in great contact with him and stuff, and got his clubs. He said, do you play golf? And she doesn't really, but she said, yeah, I play golf. And she's like, well, he's like, would you and Ian like to come down and play at my club? And Tracy's just so nice. She's like, oh yeah, of course, that'd be great. Not knowing. And he's like, it's a course called Pine Valley. Ian, I'm sure, will know it. And she's like, okay. She'd no idea.
She had no clue. Right?
No
like,
idea.
Great. Oh, so nice.
And she was telling me later on the way home, she's like, "Oh, Doug Bindford's such a nice guy. He invited us down to play at his club." I'm like, "That's great." And I was like, "Where is it?" And she's like, oh, Pine something in New Jersey. I'm like, "Pine Valley?" And she's
Oh
like,
man.
"Yep." So we were all set to go down play. About 2 weeks before we went down, Tracy cut part of her finger off, cutting a watermelon. She cut through the hard skin of a watermelon, sliced through the side of her index finger, and her finger was all bandaged up, and we couldn't end up going. So we
Oh, well,
haven't managed
I'm
it.
sure you'll revisit that.
We'll
Where
revisit
does
it.
the
Yeah,
line form, and who can take her place?
exactly. I know. Well, the thing is, if I'd been the one who I'd been like I'd done something for the guy,
Mhm.
I could easily just call Mike or just went,
Sure,
listen,
sure.
Trace can't play, but it was because of her, so obviously we're going to
That's
have to do that together.
Oh man, that's amazing. So listen, in these 10 years, I mean, you just talked about it. You touched on it a little bit about in 2006 using TrackMan, the very first one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The big, huge box, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Right. Now, in the 10 years you've been here, all right, what do you think has been the biggest technological invention to give you your biggest advantage in fitting?
I mean, no question. The fact that we've been fitting indoors for those 10 years,
Mhm.
there's no doubt about it. The
That,
accuracy.
that whole landscape's changed, though.
No, massively. I mean, if I gave you the timeline of the last 20 years for as long as I've been doing it, there are some incredible timestamps along that way that have shaped the way club fitting is now. And, it was so different when I started it in '04 for TaylorMade. I mean, it is so different now.
Right.
But
Totally.
in good ways and bad ways. There was a lot of things back then where I was very fortunate to be working on the range with no technology. So we had to fit people based on the tools we had around us.
Yeah.
And it made you so much more intuitive to maybe your instincts. Whereas I think sometimes our guys are a little bit spoiled in the bay because they don't have to rely as much on instincts because they have data.
Right.
So, they maybe don't have the sharpness of the acoustic. They don't have the sharpness of the body language of a player when they react a certain way, because that was all we had to work off of, ball flight and instinct.
So, but that's a really interesting point. So, do you think that the instinct
Mm-hmm.
helped shape you into be the better fitter
Mm-hmm.
because now you're just armed with way better
Yeah.
technology and you already have that amazing instinct?
Yeah, no question. No, absolutely no doubt about that. I remember doing a fit for Julieta Granada in 2011 down in Orlando, and she just started working with Sean Foley, and she wanted to come up to the TaylorMade Centre at Grand Cypress and do a fit. So we were working with her in the Mat Centre, and at the time we were using a Flight Scope Kudo unit.
Oh, no way.
We were using one of the original ones that you had to sort of use the little spirit level bubble, and you had
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
adjust the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
The Flight Scope unit had a bad day. That would be
Oh,
putting it
no.
that would be putting it mildly. So she was hitting irons and it'd be like 1,000 spin, 9,000 spin, and she's looking at me like, "What the hell is going on?"
Right.
But the ability to turn that off and go, "It's okay, don't worry about that. Let's head out onto the range. We're just going to work on your ball flight. We're going to work through the things." We were able to just go through, and she didn't walk away from that fit feeling like she got anything less just because she didn't have technology. Whereas if someone was like that nowadays, everyone's so reliant on technology.
Right.
Their instincts they can't always turn that off and just trust the instincts.
Well, that's interesting because that kind of dovetail into a little bit of my side of the world
Mm-hmm.
where I really think that at times there's a little bit too much reliance on the data and the technology out
No
there, and
question.
you really lose the art of teaching and coaching and
Yeah.
communicating with your client.
Mm-hmm.
But you deal in an area where it's the technology really, really dials in the absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, where do you think this is going in terms of the technology, and how can they actually make it better?
So we invested in gears
Yes.
about a year ago. So GC Quad is our impact launch monitor. Gears is our pre-impact launch monitor. So there's one thing to know what's happening at the point of contact, but it's another thing to know how it got there.
True.
And if you know how it got there, you know the journey, you know how impact was created, you can influence the journey to impact in order to create a better impact.
Wow.
Right? So if we can be influential in that journey towards impact, then ultimately we can make such a more significantly more substantial improvement to that golfer, because we're not just giving them higher launch, lower spin. We're making a difference to the way the grip roll occurs, the way the shaft deflects, the way it droops on, from the downward deflection. All of those things play a role, but they're not things that launch monitors can measure.
No, you're right. Absolutely, they can't. I have explained to somebody that the shaft droops, right? And I grab a club and I do this.
Yeah.
Like, you explain it to a junior or a parent, or somebody's like, well, why are their hands, you want their hands are way too high. Well, you want them down because this is what happens. People are like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole different thing.
They just don't understand.
Yeah, and there's sort of swing implications. Like, why is Ricky Fowler the player on tour who has the highest amount of shaft droop on tour? Because he starts with his hands so low that when he's using the vertical force that he does, the handle has to come up, and the head is obviously the CG of the head is trying to line up with the CG of the shaft, which is going to cause it to droop even more. And all these things play a role. But if you can't see that stuff, then how on earth are you going to know that's why his vertical lie angle is not, his dynamic lie angle is a little bit more flat than others? You need information.
Looks at his golf swing and says, man, he's a super flat kid. He's flat. He stands it up and all that stuff. Well, yeah, but you not think like his equipment is matching up with his movement. And the reason why he's one of the best players in the world. Yeah. Right? It's just that, you're not going to give him a hammer and a shovel and say, tin cup it and get out there, Ricky, and go shoot 3 under.
Yeah.
So it's so majorly important that this fitting process, all right, happens. So, junior golf question.
Yeah.
When should a parent have a custom club fit experience for their child? What do you like? There's ranges based on development and that stuff, but give me kind of a ballpark on when you think like drivers versus irons, because sometimes they get into better drivers before they get into the irons.
I think it's a really good point, because drivers, we can influence the head weight and shaft weight earlier than we can with irons. So we can take a epic flash and take the weight out the back, lighten the head, allow them to pick up the speed that they need without compromising their technique. We can do the same. Accra are a phenomenal company who make shafts for junior golfers. KBS makes shafts with smaller butt diameters for junior golfers. So if we can play that role where we can customize the equipment at the age of maybe 13, 14, we like to do so. Irons are more of a tough one. Obviously, US kids and Ping do a great job with the Prodigy set and things like that, because they do lighten the head weights for kids. But unless we can get in there and lighten those head weights, I just don't touch it.
Right.
I do not want them. It doesn't matter how light the shaft can go. They can be swinging a 40-gram Accra. It's still got a 260-gram 6-iron head on the end of it. And we're talking about deflection and how that influences the shaft. We don't want that.
That's a great point, because one of the things is, as an experience, you and I, with my student Vanessa, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we moved from US kids clubs to Pings, and how we could adjust the weights, and how we had to sit there and figure out what is the gram weights and how can we get Ping to adjust the weight so she could actually swing it faster, because she was still only 75 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's such a delicate balance for these players. So, I can't stress enough. Like, I feel very fortunate that I have you as in my back pocket to say, hey, look, go see these guys. Yeah. They'll tell you the straight goods. But for people who may not have you as a resource, I really think that's incredibly important news for them to understand. You need to make sure your child may not need to get out of their clubs. Don't put them in, as you say, big boy clubs before it's too soon, because all you're doing is stacking the cards against them. Would you
Right.
not say so?
I would, because the one thing we cannot do is have a negative influence on their development. We have to have a positive influence on their development and ensure that they have the right clubs at the right length, at the right weight. And we're not forcing them into anything where their hands don't really fit around the grip. And that's something I want to do with gears is more junior fitting and see some things with weight and grip size and see how much we can influence grip roll and things like that with grip size. And I think it's something we can really get some unique data on.
Sounds like your brain's been already thinking about what's the next great thing for TXG and how to use that gear system to
Yeah.
really make a difference. Eh?
You know what it is, Dougie? I mean, the YouTube platform has given us one thing, and it's the ability to have a voice. And
Yeah.
there's not enough kind of voices in the club fitting world. There's lots of voices in coaching, and it's a busy space. Lots of voices. But you really don't hear many club fitters who are putting their hand up to help educate people. And we understand that the nature of the 70,000 people who follow our channel is we're never going to meet more than probably 2 or 3% of them. But
Right.
it doesn't change the impact we want to make, by the time we're all said and done, which is I want to make sure people don't make bad decisions. I want them to know the places to go and the places maybe, in their local area that they maybe shouldn't go and things like that.
Well, you know what? You're bringing a really good point because I think that's part of the reason why you started the YouTube channel is to bring what you do to the masses.
Yeah.
And it's really been amazing to see the meteoric rise of this YouTube channel because it is the source. I can't tell you how many episodes I will share to parents and I will share to others because it's just such great information to pass on. So one of the things that it's done is it's put you guys on such an amazing map. You are getting customers that are coming from different corners of this earth to see you guys. Like tell me about some of the experiences you've had with some of these people that are coming from like South Africa and Australia to come get fit at TXG.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's mind-boggling for me, to be honest, when someone walks in the door and we'll hear that they've came in from, like you said, Australia, Singapore, Korea. They literally from Ireland, England. Literally last year we had people from all over. Now we have repeat customers coming from France and Iceland, and
wow.
they make. But I feel very lucky in the sense, Dougie, that Toronto is a phenomenal city for us to be in, and it's part of the attraction. So when someone says I want to go to TXG, it definitely doesn't hurt that we are in such an amazing place that the wife can go and spend a few days shopping and they can do some sightseeing. And so we are very fortunate that we live here, and it is a great attraction as well as coming. Yeah,
I would agree. Toronto is I'm born and bred Torontonian. And it's amazing that you say that because I think a lot of times we take that for granted as Canadians and people who live in Toronto. And to hear that, the business flourishes because when it's a destination that they can, it's kind of like, hey, honey, you want to take a little weekend trip to Toronto?
Yeah. I mean, we've had some great stories.
Right.
We've had some great stories of guys kind of making their wife think that, honey, I know you've always wanted to go to New York. I really want to treat you to that trip. Let's go to New York. And the wife's like, this is fantastic. I can't believe he's thinking of me and he wants to take me to New York. And he's like, well, the only flight I can get, we're saving about $1,000 if we go via Toronto. So let's do that. And Toronto's a lovely place. We can stop in and have a couple of days in Toronto. And they make them think that it's all their idea and they're being big romantics and stuff like that. So it's the best. I mean, the stories are good.
That is that's awesome. And I'm sure you're relaying that to from a really good story. Okay.
Yeah.
So brings me to a really interesting surprise question. This is going to be something you have to, there used to be this program, Lucille Ball show, and her husband was Desi Arnaz. And one of his favorite sayings was, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, right? Because he was Spanish. So, Mr. Fraser, you got some splaining to do, mate. I I would love to know the details and how, you kind of lamented on your neighborhood and where you grew up, right? But I'd love to know how you got away with running over somebody's car, as well as jumping in between people's yards and houses.
Yep, hedge hopping.
Over the years, and you pretty much ran amok through your teens and never really were held accountable for this. Can you help explain us how this, like, especially about running over somebody's car?
We grew up in a village on the west coast of Scotland called Rue, R-H-U, and I remember one time we made the front page of the local newspaper.
No.
Rue tiny terrors wreak havoc. And I tell you what, we were in a group, and there wasn't a bad one amongst us.
Oh man, that's almost a children's book title. Rue Tiny Terrors. Anyways, keep going.
So there wasn't badness or malice or anything. We were never looking for. We'd get into scuffles with each other, but we would never go looking for like any trouble with anyone else. We just had so much fun. There was a big group of us, and I think just growing up, and you would play football and do all this other stuff, and then you run out of days where you play football. So you'd go and see. We would call it. There's a horse racing event in the UK called the Grand National.
Oh yes,
right.
Yes.
So we would call it the Grand National. So we would go running over people's hedges in their gardens, and it was always we would try and obviously not get caught, but we often did get caught. And all the characters we'd meet along the way, we would have a guy chasing us with a screwdriver, and all this sort of stuff. But it was the best childhood, Dougie. It really was. That's the best,
buddy. Oh man, thank you for that little highlight there.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about it, and I want to dig into it because I remember this conversation vividly.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were talking about a fight, and we were at the Burlington location. You were talking. It was I think it was Canelo and the Russian guy.
Triple G.
Yes. But you talked about how Canelo really keyed into his ribs and really keyed into his kidneys and his liver. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because, like, again, you're talking like Latin to me. And I was like, he goes, watch the fight. You said, watch the fight because I'm going to replay it. And I watched it, and I was watching the tactician-like way Canelo just took him apart with these body shots. And I was thinking, body shots, really? So you are and have been a pugilist for a very long time. You love your boxing, man.
Yeah.
So first of all, who is your favorite boxer in what class? Give me like 3 of your best guys in different classes.
So Ricky Hatton was the one that I loved. He was super exciting. He always in a war. Phenomenal body puncher. Would allow someone to throw a lead right, duck down. He was the master of the body shot. I remember when he was prepared to fight Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao's trainer for the 12-week camp basically would hit him in the ribs with sticks to try and deaden the nerves in his ribs, because he knew how hard a body puncher Ricky Hatton was. So if he hit him, in any of those body shots, he wouldn't really feel it. It turned out Pacquiao knocked him out in about midway through the second round, and he never even needed to do it. Never needed to. So after that, Manny Pacquiao was amazing. 8-weight world.
Like, we're talking tinier
insane.
than you.
Insane. Right. Well, he fought at his first weight was at like straw weight. He came in at like the minimum weights. He's the old straw weight.
What's straw weight?
It's like 107 pounds or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, and these guys, like, the thing is, they have so much energy. They just fight, for the full 36 minutes. They just go toe to toe, because none of them really have the power to knock the other one out.
Right.
And they carry no muscle mass or weight, so they can just go like Energizer bunnies. So they just go at it with each other, and those are the best fights of all time. The Barrera Morales fights, the Pacquiao Morales fights. Those were the best. Just incredible. And then everyone loves the heavyweights, don't they? So
Hey, one of your favorite boys is that is the English guy.
Yeah, Anthony Joshua. Yeah,
Joshua, right? I mean, he is a specimen of a body, right?
Yeah, too much so though, to be honest, Dougie. Like he's more bodybuilder than, and he really got found out last June when he was fighting a little heavy guy called Andy Ruiz.
Yes.
He found that he got found out in Madison Square Garden where he got knocked out, and no one ever thought that this guy had a chance because Joshua looks like he should be on the cover of Bodybuilder magazine, and Andy Ruiz is sitting in Five Guys going for his third helping.
Ferguson fries.
That's it. But, Ruiz has been fighting since he was an 11-year-old kid. Joshua never took up boxing until he was 18, 19. And then he was fast-tracked into the GB squad and he ultimately won gold at the London Olympics. But, Andy Ruiz is a fighter at heart. And,
right.
and he has natural instincts. We were talking about instincts earlier on. He has natural fighting instincts that Joshua doesn't have. Joshua fights like a straight-up European, which is jab, 1-2, jab, right hand, reset, jab, right hand, the Klitschko way. And, Andrew Ruiz had something that he'd never really seen before.
Yeah, so it's just, when you're faced with that, so it's a really interesting point because I'm actually going to take what you just talked about there and apply it to the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So now you have Boo Weekley.
Yeah.
Who is essentially this other boxer.
Sure, he's Andy Ruiz, isn't he?
He's Andy Ruiz. I mean, you look at a guy, you look at Boo Weekley, you think, where he should be fishing. I mean, this guy has got no talent. Look at him, but he's got the beer gut and all this stuff. And lo and behold, amazing ball striker.
Incredible.
Knows how to put the ball in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then you have some guys who are absolute, can't miss, studs, right? Hit the ball a mile, look fantastic, golf swings on plane, all this stuff, don't know how to finish, don't know how to put it in the cup.
Yeah, look at someone like Camilo Villegas. Someone like Villegas who's, shredded, and
shredded.
An unbelievable athlete, but it doesn't obviously have the same kind of God-given ability that someone like a Boo Weekley has.
Right. So, yeah, I guess where I'm going with this is you can't always judge a book by the cover,
no.
Right? And I think that's often a really good point because in the fitting business, you can't judge the book by the cover on what comes up and what comes towards you.
Yeah.
You actually have to dig in, read that book a bit more to really find out what the narrative is so that you can really enjoy it and make it better.
Yeah.
Agreed?
I agree 1,000%. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, YouTube, podcasts, social media in general. What's been the biggest light bulb moment along this meteoric rise of social media with you and with how it's impacted TXG?
No question was our competitor at 7 o'clock there, Gary V. He was the one who switched the light bulb on for me and kind of made me think about it in a whole different way. And he always, he's incredible. But the one thing that has been interesting for me was I was immersed in his stuff for probably 4 years. Okay. I couldn't tell you the last time I paid attention to a Gary V episode. Because I always used to listen and he would always say, he'd give the advice. He's like, the day you guys stop listening to me, I can't wait for that day because it means you don't need it anymore, or you've taken what you needed from it. Then you got to go and apply it. He said the people who are stuck here learning are the people who basically, they like the theory of doing it, but they don't actually go out and do it. And that was something that for me was, I didn't really realize that until I realized that it had been probably 3 months since I'd listened to any of his content. And I kind of figured out that was exactly what I was doing. I was too busy applying what I'd learned from him, and I didn't have time to listen to him.
Well, yeah, it's almost like a little bit of a crutch, right? You think you need Gary V's podcast. You need to listen to the next bit of info.
Yeah.
Because the next nugget is going to be like the catalyst to you being like, oh,
yeah,
that's it. I'm going to turn my life around and all that stuff. Well, the really interesting thing about this guy is he says a lot of the same things a lot of the time.
Yeah.
In a different way. It's not any necessarily new information, but it's poignant information.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing is you need to peel off those people that influence your life to be able to, you need to go and run with it. Don't be scared to make mistakes, because you and I both know mistakes are important because you only learn from them.
Failure is where the answers lie.
There you go. You heard it first, everybody. There you go. Failure is where the answers lie.
Yep. You know, at that point, you have a definitive answer of what does not work. Don't do that again. Perfect. Move on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Almost like when you're fitting somebody, you get your definitive answer. Nope, that
100%.
shaft's crap for you.
Yeah.
We need to get you in something else.
And that's the thing with club fitting. We spend way more time being wrong than right.
There you go.
You know, but you just progressively apply it, and you apply it. And, you know, it's one of those things that I love about gears is that you can measure something to see whether your theory about the way you think that type of player loads it versus the way they actually, you know, load it. We always thought, I say we, you know, when I was always thinking about shafts and deflection, I would always think, I want that shaft to be in the maximum lead deflection so that it's accelerating towards the golf ball, so we're getting maximum contribution from the components. I used to think that was always the way that it was. The reality is, if a shaft is in maximum deflection as it contacts the golf ball, it's actually lost its energy. It has it has deflected to its maximum and is no longer, you know, producing energy as it hits the golf ball. So we want actually a shaft that, right? So we want a shaft that is in slight negative deflection as it impacts the golf ball. That's what ultimately will make your smash factor, or what we know as efficiency in these things. That's what will make that higher.
Wow. See, you know what? It's really cool because, like, nuggets of information that you keep tossing out throughout this whole conversation has just been scintillating, right? So it's like, I didn't even ask you a question. I just learned something. Like, I mean, it's like really good, right? So
yeah, I mean, that's one thing we need to do together is come up and have a gears day, because there are some stuff, Doug. There are things that we thought we knew, and now there are things that we measurably can tell, you know, you about.
Yeah. Well, I got a few. I got a couple that I want to bring up and get on gears. Trust me.
Yeah.
That is an absolute done deal. Listen. First of all, I want to say thank you. I mean, this hour has gone by like in a heartbeat. I mean, you'll probably talk for 2 more hours.
I know.
Right? Exactly. But the joy is I don't get to see you much. We talk on the phone maybe and all that stuff, but to see you is just a joy because I love you much. You're one of my absolute truest, wonderful people in my life. And one of the things I really want everybody to understand is, how do they find TXG if they haven't already found you?
Well, I would always lead them now towards the YouTube channel, because the one great thing about the YouTube channel is people can get a chance to judge us however they want to judge us on there. So they get a chance to see what we do, how we fit our philosophies. They can hear if they like that approach, or maybe they don't. They can see the facility. They see the tools we have at our disposal. They get to know the team. That's something that's very big for this year, is getting the team on there, because the one thing, our YouTube channel, it's not about me. It's not about Matt. It's TXG's YouTube channel. It's not Ian and Matt's show, you know. So this year, you know, they have to get to know John and Mike and Alex and Cam and Chris, you know, and those figures will spend much more time on the channel and you know, getting to show people how good they are, because, you know, we've been fortunate, and that's why people obviously travel in, because they go, well, I trust that guy. I hear him on there all the time. But we have to give the same platform to the other boys, because they're equally as good.
Well, you know what? There you have it, everybody. You want to find the best in club fitting, go to their YouTube channel, TXG, Tour Experience Golf. This man, the legend, Ian Fraser Golf, my buddy. Love you muchly, bro.
Thank you for doing this, Dougie.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Not at all.
Epic. I really appreciate it, buddy. Have a wonderful evening. Give that baby boy a big kiss from me.
I will.
Especially to your wife. Okay, bud?
I will. Thanks, Dougie.
Take care,
See you, pal.
Bye.